All right. So we do a lot of talking about mitochondrial damage. We do talk a lot about how to heal mitochondria, SS31. We talk about all these things about bringing mitochondrial function back, but we don't talk a whole lot about do we have mitochondrial damage. And so one of the best things to kind of look at for that is the top five things we see are going to be high inflammation. So we're looking at high visceral fat levels. We're looking at you know sleep apnea, oxygen deprivation. We're looking at high sugar issues, high fasting insulin. We're looking at lots of alcohol, cigarette smoke, poor sleep. Those are the things. So if you go look back at your life and you're like, hey, during college, I drank a whole lot and I didn't sleep very well. And that was pretty much the entirety of my 20s. And then when I got to 30, I felt like my body was falling apart. There you go. Bad things didn't happen to you because you got older. Bad things happen to you because you damaged your body. You damaged the mitochondria. And nobody's talking about this. This is one of those things where it's like, oh, if you have damaged mitochondria, you should do these things. And people go, oh, okay. But haven't seen a whole lot of people talking about what creates the damage. People are like, well, oxidative stress. I'm sure that everyone out knows what oxidative stress is, where it comes from. It comes from lack of oxygen. So if you're smoking cigarettes, it's going to create hypoxic issues or low oxygen issues. If you've got sleep apnea, if you're snoring, that's going to create an issue. If you have too much visceral fat or abdominal fat, that's going to create issues. High systemic inflammation. If you're consuming lots of processed foods and high glycemic sugars and things like that, that's going to create a problem. If you're eating a lot of toxic chemicals, so you're looking at everything in cigarettes, by the way, you're looking at your processed foods, your processed meats, your deli meats, your things like that. Those are all creating problems for your mitochondria. And so what happens to a lot of people as they age is, a lot of things are just turned off onto well, I got older and that's why everything started breaking down. That's why I got fatigued. And that's why, my brain doesn't work as well. And, that's why we look at things like dementia and Alzheimer's and cardiovascular health, plaquing in the arteries and heart attacks and strokes as age related. It's not necessarily that just because somebody hits 30, 40, 50, 60, these things are going to happen. It's not like your body is designed as a time bomb. What happens is that how long have you been damaging your body? How long have you been messing with your mitochondria, the things that produce the ATP, the things that produce the energy your body runs on? This is, again, my calories argument. This is why things get so important, is because the things that we're doing are either benefiting us or they're breaking us. And so that's the thing we kind of have to recognize and be like, all right, how long, so we'll use my example. How long did I drink more than I should have, alcohol-wise? From about 20 till about 30. So it's 10 solid years of drinking too much. I didn't really smoke, so that's good for me. But if you guys smoked, especially American cigarettes, that's a terrible deal. How long have I had sleep apnea? I've had sleep apnea since I was, 12. So I had epilepsy for 20 years and nobody could figure it out until we found out, oh, it's from the sleep apnea. Fix the sleep apnea, then the epilepsy went away. So that's the other thing. Again, massive, massive damage from lack of oxygen from sleep apnea. So if you're snoring, if you're gasping for air, those are terrible signs. Look at your diet. Look at your diet when you were in your teen years all the way up to 30. How much fast food did you eat? How much sugar did you consume? These are big deals. Like how much, soda did you drink? Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, that type of stuff. How much cookies did you eat? How much of that processed sugary crap did you consume? And again, you're like, well, I was a teenager. Great. Yeah, we make mistakes when we're teenagers. This is how we know, do I need to do something to fix my mitochondria now? And I'll tell you, if you're 25 or 30 or older, you probably need to start working on fixing your mitochondria. Regardless of how you feel now, in your 25 to 30-year-old age, you're probably going to need to do it. Incense, antibiotics, these things damage it as well. So there's so many things that are messing with your mitochondria, radically damaging what your body uses to produce energy and fuel, that it's one of those things that you're going to have to start to recognize. This is the things that have happened to me or I've done that have damaged my body. And so what do we need to do? We need to start fixing these things. And so that's one of those things where we start off with. Now, this is also why retatrutide is one of my favorite peptides ever, because it reduces visceral fat, radically reduces systemic chronic inflammation. It helps put everything back together from a hormonal standpoint. Nice. Hit those things will start kind of resetting everything. That's when we start adding in the, okay, now we got to put everything back together. So now we're going to start adding in the SS31. We're going to start adding in, after that's up for a little while, then we can add in MOT-C. We can start building those things back up. We can start exercising again. We can start looking at our hormonal function. All of these things are going to start having kind of help everything but put back together. And so that's one of those big things. If you're wondering, do I have mitochondrial dysfunction? Quick, just think about it. Like in the past 20 years, how much alcohol did you consume? How much cigarette smoke did you consume? How has your psychological stress been? How has your sleep been? Have you been getting your 6 to 8 hours and getting your hour and a half or hour of REM and deep sleep every night? If you're like, no, well, there you go. Whether that's because you've chosen to sleep poorly or because you just don't sleep well, both are causative in this. And so, are you carrying more weight than you should be? I think we can all look at ourselves and be like, yes or no on that one. So all of these things contribute to a slow decline in mitochondrial health, which is going to decrease the total amount of ATP, which is going to radically increase the metabolic damage, which is going to radically start increasing your symptomatology and the way you feel. So if we can start focusing on the mitochondria, knock all those things down, start rebuilding the mitochondria, you will start feeling better, and it'll start helping to reduce or eliminate or prevent a lot of the things that we see are chronic age-related issues. So, some of the low testosterone stuff, the dementia, the Alzheimer's, the arterial plaquing, all of these things, all the things I just mentioned create arterial plaquing. Isn't that interesting? It's not the amount of cholesterol. It's what your body does to damage the blood vessels and damage the cholesterol that causes it to stick. That's the thing. All of the things I just mentioned cause that. So, low-grade infections, if you've got issues in your mouth, if you've got like deep pocket issues, if you've got, any of those things that end up damaging teeth over a long period of time, like, small infections to your gut, all of these things start leading to mitochondrial dysfunction. So fix all that stuff, start repairing your body with things like SS31. And that's going to be really, really beneficial to your long-term health. So if you haven't done anything for your mitochondria, take that list I gave you, eliminate as much of that list as you can, and I'd start jumping on these peptides to help rebuild your body. If you guys have any other questions, hit us up. Questions@chalmerswellness.com. You guys have a fabulous day. If you're in Texas, get ready for the massive freeze we're about to have.